All right, everyone, welcome back. I hope you're ready for another deep dive, because this one's a doozy.
Oh, I'm ready.
Last time, we were all about martial law. You guys really seem to like that one.
It was a popular topic, yeah.
This time, though, we're tackling something that's just straight up weird.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Why do all these authoritarian regimes just trash talk democracy all the time, but then turn around and say, oh, but we're the freest, most democratic ever?
Right. Like, how does that even make sense?
Yeah. It's like they're saying broccoli's the worst, but then they're shoving it on your plate and saying, eat up. It's freedom broccoli.
It's a bit of a head-scratcher, isn't it? But it's not as random as it seems.
So, spill the tea. What's the deal with this whole democracy bashing thing?
Well, when you look at what makes these regimes tick, it all comes down to power, right? They just cling to it.
Yeah, like it's going out of style.
Exactly. And democracy, with all its checks and balances and, people actually getting a say, well, that's a threat to their power.
It's like kryptonite to their Superman.
Yeah. So they have to make democracy look bad. Not just to their own people, but to everyone.
Makes sense. But, okay, let's say their system is so amazing. Why even bother attacking democracy? Wouldn't ignoring it just be easier?
See, that's where the fear comes in.
Okay, I'm listening.
When they see democracy working in other places, it freaks them out.
Really?
They see it as this contagious thing that could spread to their people and, topple their whole power structure.
So basically, they're living in a constant state of democracy paranoia.
Pretty much. But it goes even further than that. It's not enough for them to just control their own people.
What do you mean?
They try to control how everyone sees democracy. They use propaganda to make democracy look chaotic and unstable.
So, like that time we tried to have a potluck and it descended into total chaos.
Maybe not that extreme. But yeah, they definitely play up those real-world challenges that democracies face.
Like, remember that awesome town hall meeting where everyone got free pizza? That was democracy in action, and it was pretty great.
Totally. But they focus on the gridlock and the arguments, ignoring the good stuff. Their ultimate goal is control.
Right, and they use this democracy is poison thing to turn people against anyone who disagrees with them.
Exactly. It makes it so much easier to silence anyone who speaks up and, maintain their grip on power.
So it's not just talk. There are serious consequences for people who question things.
Absolutely. And to see how this plays out in the real world, let's look at China for a second.
Oh yeah, we got a whole stack of reports about that.
They've gone to some crazy lengths to shut down any pro-democracy sentiment, like seriously extreme.
Like this Freedom House report from 2021. They say China's telling everyone that Western democracy is basically a cultural invasion.
Like democracy is some kind of virus or something.
Right, it's going to come and steal your culture and force you to watch reality TV, I guess.
Well, hopefully not that bad. But they want their people to be scared of democratic ideas.
But it's not just empty threats, right? They're actually doing stuff to stop anyone who disagrees with them. Remember that human rights lawyer, Lucille?
Oh, right, yeah.
Arrested in Laos and sent back to China just for speaking out.
They want everyone to see that and think, whoa, that's what happens if I criticize the government. It's chilling.
Like a really messed up game of whack-a-mole. Anyone who pops their head up gets smashed down.
Exactly. They use surveillance and imprisonment to silence any dissent.
It's scary stuff.
And that whack-a-mole game, it's gotten so much worse with all the new technology.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, think about China's social credit system. It's like they took Yelp reviews and applied them to, every single person.
Yeah, we read up on that. It's basically Big Brother on steroids, right? They're watching everything, what you buy online, if you jaywalk.
It's not even just about watching anymore. It's about controlling people.
Like a digital puppet master.
Yeah. If your score gets too low, no travel, no loans, maybe even no job.
Ugh, it's like living in a bad sci-fi movie. No flying cars, just constant surveillance and a score that controls your life.
And it's not just about the watching. They're using algorithms to target people with specific propaganda, like tailor-made just for them.
So they are playing puppet master with people's minds, using data as the strings.
You got it. And this isn't just China, by the way. We're seeing this kind of digital authoritarianism popping up everywhere.
So you've got these regimes attacking democracy from the outside, but then there's also stuff happening within democracies, like backsliding and stuff.
Yeah.
Are those two things connected at all?
Oh, totally. They're watching what's happening in democracies like hawks, and they use it for their propaganda.
I don't think they're vultures circling, just waiting for democracy to collapse. grim, but...
Yeah, a little dark. But they see things like, oh, political arguments or inequality, and they're like, see, democracy doesn't work. They make their system seem better by comparison.
Yeah, they're all about stability and efficiency, which, reminds me of that time I tried to build an IKEA bookshelf.
Haha, let me guess. It didn't go so well.
Let's just say it ended up looking more like abstract art.
Well, that's not exactly what they have in mind, but...
Yeah, okay, maybe not. But they're basically talking about how democracy is slow and messy.
Right. They want everyone to think their system is streamlined and gets things done.
But come on, that efficiency often comes at a huge cost. Think about how they bragged about their COVID response.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Built those hospitals super fast, but they also silenced anyone who questioned them, locked down entire cities.
Right. And don't forget, they tried to hide the virus at first, which probably made things worse.
Talk about a bait and switch. They promise stability, but it's all just control and oppression.
And they're really good at playing on people's fears, especially when things are uncertain.
People get scared. They want someone to just take charge and fix everything.
It's like a security blanket in a hurricane, but the blanket is made of barbed wire.
That's a vivid image.
But it's true. Their kind of stability is built on fear and taking away people's rights.
So it's not just about outside pressure. We have to understand why some people are actually drawn to these systems. Like, why would anyone think that's a good idea?
That's the million-dollar question. There's no easy answer. They play on people's need for security, but also cultural factors, historical stuff.
Like some cultures might just be used to having a strong leader, right? Makes democracy harder.
True. But culture changes. We've seen plenty of places go from authoritarian to democratic, even when they had strongman rule for ages.
So it's not a done deal. People can choose a different path. But what about the psychology of it? Why are people drawn to these strongman types, especially when those guys have, a history of being terrible?
Well, research shows people are just kind of wired to want a strong leader, especially when they feel threatened.
It's like when I saw a giant spider in my bathroom and immediately called my brother to deal with it, even though he's terrified of spiders.
Huh? Well, kudos to your brother. But yeah, that instinct to want someone to protect you, it can be manipulated. Authoritarian leaders use that.
So they become the spider-killing heroes.
Basically. They make it seem like they're the only ones who can keep you safe.
It's like they build a whole superhero brand around themselves, right?
Yeah.
With a catchy slogan and everything.
Yeah. But what happens when that superhero turns out to be a total fraud?
Or when their promises just fall apart.
Then the cracks start to show. People realize that oppression and corruption are the reality, not stability and prosperity.
And history is full of those examples. Authoritarian regimes make big promises, but in the end, it's just broken promises and suffering.
Especially for those who dare to speak up or disagree, they get the worst of it.
Right, like what's happening to the Uyghurs in China. That's the dark side of stability,
Absolutely. It's terrifying. And it shows us that we can't just sit back and relax. We have to fight against this stuff everywhere.
Because once those freedoms are gone, they're almost impossible to get back. Okay, so we've got this whole democracy versus authoritarianism thing going on. And honestly, it's kind of overwhelming. It feels like we're up against this giant wave of control. What can we even do about it?
I get it. It's easy to feel helpless, right? Like, what difference can one person even make?
Totally. It's like, okay, I'm going to grab my democracy toolkit and wait, where's my toolkit? What's even in it?
Haha, right. Sadly, no fancy gadgets or anything, but there are some practical things we can do.
Okay, I'm all ears. Give me my action plan.
First off, support those groups who are actually out there fighting for democracy and human rights.
Makes sense. There are tons of organizations doing amazing work, often in really dangerous situations.
Exactly. Like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Freedom House. They're the real heroes here.
They're on the front lines, documenting the bad stuff, pushing for change, helping people who are being silenced.
And they need our help. Even a small donation can go a long way.
So, step one, support the good guys. Got it. What else? I'm feeling all fired up now.
Awesome. Let's channel that energy into action. Your voice matters. Speak up against injustice. Call out misinformation.
Right. Got to use those democracy muscles, right?
Exactly. Vote. Write to your representatives. Go to those town hall meetings. Organize protests. Sign petitions.
And don't forget social media.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Use it to spread awareness, connect with people, put pressure on those in power.
Even just sharing a good article or pointing out when someone's spreading lies can make a difference.
Totally. But be careful about the information you're getting. Be skeptical, especially when it comes from these authoritarian regimes.
Like, don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Oh, right.
But seriously, with so much information out there, you got to be careful.
Absolutely. And there are tools to help you sort through it all. Fact-checking websites, independent news sources, real research.
So informed citizens, check. Engaged citizens, check. But what about the big picture? Can democracy actually win this fight? It feels like a long shot sometimes.
That's a tough one. No easy answers there. I don't have a crystal ball. But I do think democracy is worth fighting for. It's messy, yeah, it's not perfect, but it's still the best system we've got.
It's about people having a voice, holding those in power accountable. Freedom of the press, the right to disagree, it's worth protecting, even when it's hard.
Couldn't agree more. And remember, democracy isn't some finish line you cross. It's a journey. It takes constant work, adapting, learning from mistakes.
So the takeaway here is, don't freak out, but don't be lazy either.
Perfectly put. Stay informed, stay involved, and keep believing that people can change things.
Awesome. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into this, let's be honest, kind of scary topic. But one last thought for y'all to chew on. If stability means giving up freedom and human rights, is it really worth it? Think about it. And hey, if you need a little something to cheer you up after all that, head over to Mickytolife on YouTube. They've got amazing travel vlogs, whiskey reviews, you name it. Guaranteed to put a smile on your face. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep fighting the good fight for democracy.